Yes, this is the 3D Hub launch and all exhibition. And I'm about to start a 3D printing 101 presentation with a fashion solution, of course. This presentation might be simple or very intimate for those of you who are already 3D printing, but it might be a way to introduce your friends who have never heard about 3D printing. Listen it up? Okay. Yeah, let me know if you cannot hear me because we can adjust the controls. So if you cannot hear me, just let me know, wave at me, but I think it should be good for everybody. Okay, so thank you so much everybody for coming. Just quick points, my name is Paulina. There's a bar behind the stairs. There's also a restroom on top of the stairs. For women and on this level for guys. Okay, 3D printing 101 with the fashion story by Additive. As I mentioned, my name is Paulina Perepelkin. The way I got into 3D printing is I was studying for an MBA in MS in Operations Management, and I fell in love with the revolutionary potential of 3D printing. So I started a website called AdditiveFashion.com. It's the first, and as far as I know, the only blog looking specifically at 3D printing and fashion. I'm also accidentally 3D Hub's Boston mayor, so I'm happy to introduce 3D Hubs to Boston. And my contacts, you can contact me at Paulina at AdditiveFashion.com. Some of my business cards are scattered around on the table, Additive Fashion cards, so feel free to grab one. You can also follow me on Twitter, Perepelkin or Additive Fashion. If anybody's live tweeting, I would appreciate a mention. Thanks. Okay, so what is 3D printing? 3D printing goes by many different names. It has been going by many different names. Additive manufacturing, desktop manufacturing. You might have heard some other terms, but 3D printing is becoming the predominant term at this moment. And if you think about 3D printing, it's really about additive versus subtractive manufacturing process. So more traditional subtractive manufacturing process is when you take away things to make something. For example, you carve a bowl out of a piece of wood, so you have to take away the material in order to create the bowl. Contrasted that with the additive process, such as like when you are trying to make a bowl out of clay foil, when you are adding material and smoothing it over. So that very basic concept is key to 3D printing. In fashion, we can think about it in terms of sewing clothing versus knitting clothing. Where in sewing you have to cut away fabric, and in knitting you add layer by layer to create the final garment. Now with computers, of course, we're able to create much more interesting designs, and we want to reproduce those designs in life. We want to bring those designs to life. So 3D printing is creating, the very general definition is creating a three-dimensional form from a digital model using an additive process. Okay, and what type of things can be made with 3D printing? Well, people say everything, which is kind of far-reaching at this point, but you definitely can make quite a few things. Typically, 3D printing has been around for about 20 years, 25 years, and it has been used for prototypes and models. Most recently, we've been able to create more of the ready-to-use items, and we've seen 3D printing used in industries as diverse as food, fashion, architecture, medicine, aerospace, just a lot of different exciting industries, including, of course, fashion. Okay, so there are different ways to do 3D printing, and I will be talking about the top 3 more popular ones, which is selective laser sintering, stereolithography, and fused deposition modeling. Now, selective laser sintering is, in a way, a process that gives the most amount of flexibility. With selective laser sintering, you have powder that is deposited, that is fused by a laser, layer by layer, to create the final item. And that powder acts as a support mechanism. So in fact, you can create really interesting, complex structures that you have not been able to create beforehand with other processes. So examples of selective laser sintering in the 3D printed fashion world, we have a dress by Iris van Herpen that premiered recently at the Paris Fashion Week. And that dress is actually created by Materialize with a flexible, it's more like a rubbery material. So that dress is actually flexible, which is very exciting. We also can, that hat is an example by Mark Bloomfield. And that hat has flexible moving parts. So as a person moves, the hat moves. It's very exciting. So additional things, as you can see from the works presented here, we have the skull by Joshua Harker, which you can really see a skull is created within a skull within a skull, very complex structure. We have an amazing necklace by Nervous System, a beautiful earring by a local company, Atomic Earrings, and of course the dress by 3x4. So very complex, interesting structures can be created with SLS printing. The drawback to SLS is that it takes a big, expensive machine. So none of the machines you see here are SLS printers. However, if you learn how to 3D print on this machine, you can probably learn how to create prints for SLS as well. Okay, another popular method, this is one of the oldest methods probably, is stereolithography. Stereolithography has been used quite a bit for prototyping. And the way this is done is you have like a bowl, an aquarium of resin, and a laser dances on the surface, solidifying the resin. And as the platform moves down, you kind of have that solidified item created. And it's amazing things can be created with it as well. Most often it's used for creating, in a sense, wax models for jewelry manufacturing, for example. So when you have a design, a jewelry design in mind, you can use SLA to create the prototype from which you will make the final design. Also, we have seen an SLA dress on the runway, once again by Iris van Herpen. And this piece is absolutely gorgeous in color. It's very translucent. The material is, it's almost like liquid honey, if you can think about it. The drawback is, once again, very expensive, especially for the larger pieces. And the other drawback would be that it's not readily stable. So you can use SLA to create more of a translucent material. So if you think of a transparent plastic, that's more what it can look like. But it's more fragile. It reacts with sunlight, so it's not very stable at the moment. Now, fused deposition modeling is an example of what you see around here. Fused deposition modeling is, in a sense, it's been described as a glue gun on steroids. It's the way that you can extract hot melted plastic layer by layer onto the platform to create the final item. And lots of different things have been used with fused deposition modeling. Fused deposition modeling is the most accessible form of 3D printing because you can either make your own fused deposition modeling printer or purchase one for under $1,000 even right now. So a lot of the 3D hubs are using fused deposition modeling printers. You can make shoes. You can even make very interesting and complex items already with fused deposition modeling. For example, the 3D printed dress that you see in this picture here that premiered in February in New York City was created with just using an Ultimaker machine. So kind of a machine you see in the corner over here that Herb has. And I'm not quite sure if they used that one, but that's basically the idea that they used to create that dress. Lots of different opportunities. There are also larger FDM machines that are using multi-material. FDM is the only process that allows you to use multi-material printing. And with that, you can create really interesting structures. So for example, Iris van Herpen created this spectacular dress that you see on the left. Kind of looks like a hedgehog, some say. She has. But it's flexible, it's incredibly expensive, At the same time, lots of exciting opportunities in there as well. Okay, so what's next? You have heard about 3D printing. Now, what can you do with that type of information? Well, it's easy, right? All you do is you get a 3D printed file, a 3D model, you print it, and then you enjoy your life. So it sounds very easy to start over. And in a sense, it can be. Now it's becoming much more easy to get a 3D model, so a 3D computer model. You can purchase it at Thingiverse or 123D Gallery. You could purchase 3D models online much more easily. Shoes, for example, or whatever you would like. You can also learn how to make your own 3D model. For that, you would need to either follow, you can go to Tinkercard or Mesh Mixer, those are the popular ones. You can also take CAD classes. For example, our wonderful sponsor for tonight's event, Printing Bay, will be teaching CAD in Waltham. It's Printing Bay is set up right below the presentation screen. So you can talk to them about taking CAD courses. And once you learn how to do CAD, you can print. In order to print, you can either buy your own printer, or if you don't have the money to invest in that just yet, you can sign up with 3D Hubs. 3D Hubs will connect you to your neighbor, somebody in your area, who already has a 3D printer, who would be happy to print a model for you for a nominal fee. There are other services, but that's what it's all about. And you can also, if you're not ready to make things, you can of course purchase 3D printed items already. The two of our local companies, they're both located in Somerville, again, a very 3D printed jewelry company, are Atomic Earrings and and if you want to learn more about 3D printing in the future, once again, my name is Paulina. I'm with Additive Fashion. We are organizing, in the midst of organizing a 3D printed fashion show for end of September, beginning of October in the Boston area. If you're interested in that, please.
I'm not a rep.
This is stand up on the mailing list of our website. That fashion show will also launch a 3D printed fashion food competition, which will be very exciting, and I will probably be organizing additional 3D printed events either through 3D hubs for more maker community or more official industry events. Once again, you can either follow me on Twitter at Perepelkin or at Fashion. Please do enjoy networking and get to meet your neighbors and see who else here is doing what here. We have Printing Bay, our sponsors, and that's under the presentation screen. And I will be doing a presentation at 7:30. We will officially welcome 3D House to the area, so please be subscribed for that. Once again, the bar is in. Thank you.